The deep space exploration vessel Horizon moved through the empty black of space. Captain Ji-ho Kim sat in his command chair, looking at the main view screen. Stars glittered in the distance. It was the year 2157, and humanity had pushed farther into space than ever before. "Captain," called out Officer Tae-min from the sensor station, "I'm picking up a strange signal. It's coming from the edge of our solar system." Ji-ho leaned forward. In his 15 years with the Earth Defense Force, he had never encountered anything like this. The signal had a pattern that was clearly not natural. "Can you clean it up?" he asked. Tae worked at his controls. "It's definitely artificial, sir. Not one of ours." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what this might mean. First contact with an alien civilization. Ji-ho stood up and straightened his blue uniform. He was a tall man with short black hair starting to gray at the temples. His face showed the calm of someone who had faced many dangers. "Set a course to investigate," he ordered. "But approach carefully. Alert all crew to first contact protocols." The Horizon changed direction, its powerful engines pushing it toward the mysterious signal. As they traveled, communications specialist Hana Park worked to understand the signal better. "Captain," she said after several hours, "I think it's a beacon. It's repeating the same message over and over." Hana was newer to the crew than most. She had joined 6 months ago after finishing top of her class in xenolinguistics, the study of potential alien languages. She had a quiet confidence that Ji-ho respected. "Can you decode it?" he asked. "Not yet, but I'm working on it." Lieutenant Dae-sung Lee, the ship's second in command, moved to stand beside the captain. They had served together for 7 years and had saved each other's lives more than once. "What do you think, sir?" Dae-sung asked quietly. "I think we need to be ready for anything," Ji-ho replied. 2 days later, the Horizon reached the source of the signal. What they found made everyone on the bridge gasp. A massive ship hung in space. It was unlike anything humans had built. The alien vessel was long and curved, with sections that seemed to be made of a metal that changed colors as they watched. "It's huge," whispered Dae-sung. "At least 3 times our size." Ji-ho nodded. "Open all frequencies, Hana. Let's try to talk to them." Hana worked at her station. "Broadcasting now, sir. Simple greeting messages in all Earth languages and mathematical formulas." Minutes passed with no response. Then suddenly the view screen flickered. An image appeared of what could only be an alien being. It had a body that looked somewhat like an insect, with a hard outer covering that shone like metal. It had 4 arms and a head with large compound eyes. "Captain," Hana said with excitement in her voice, "they're responding to our transmission." The alien spoke. Its voice sounded like clicking and humming. Then, surprisingly, it began to speak in broken English. "We are the Narak. You have entered our territory. Identify your purpose." Ji-ho stepped forward. "I am Captain Ji-ho Kim of the Earth vessel Horizon. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We mean no harm and wish to establish peaceful contact." The alien's head tilted. "I am Supreme Commander Tavik of the Narak Empire. You claim to be peaceful, yet your ship carries weapons." Ji-ho nodded. "They are defensive only. We come from a world where we must sometimes protect ourselves, but we seek friendship with other intelligent life." Tavik's body seemed to stiffen. "Your species occupies a system that is rightfully part of the Narak domain. Your presence here is a violation of our sovereign territory." The mood on the bridge changed instantly. Everyone tensed, hands moving closer to control panels. "There must be some mistake," Ji-ho said calmly. "Humans have evolved on Earth for millions of years. We have no record of any prior claim to our system." "Your records are irrelevant," Tavik replied. "The Narak Empire has claimed this region of space. Your presence is unauthorized." Ji-ho looked at Dae-sung, who shook his head slightly. This was not going well. "Weapons officer," Dae-sung said quietly. "Prepare defensive systems. Do not power up yet, but be ready." "Yes, sir," responded the officer. Hannah Park was watching the alien carefully. She noticed something odd. While Tavik's words were threatening, his body movements didn't match. There was a hesitation, almost a reluctance, in the way he held himself. She moved closer to the captain and spoke softly. "Sir, I don't think he means what he's saying. His body language doesn't match his words." Jiho gave her a questioning look. "Explain." "In most species, aggressive intent shows in certain ways. Forward posture, rapid movements. But he's holding back, almost like he's reading from a script he doesn't believe in." Jiho considered this. He had learned to trust his crew's insights, especially when they noticed things he didn't. "Supreme Commander Tavik," Jiho said, addressing the alien again, "we wish to avoid any conflict. Perhaps we can discuss this misunderstanding and find a peaceful solution." The alien was quiet for a moment. Then it spoke again, its voice harder than before. "There is nothing to discuss. You will receive formal demands from our empire soon. Prepare your leaders." The screen went dark. "They've cut transmission," Hannah reported. The bridge erupted in urgent conversation. Dae-sung turned to Jiho. "Captain, we should alert Earth immediately. This could be the prelude to an invasion." Jiho nodded. "Send the message, but include everything, including Specialist Park's observations about the body language." "You think she's right?" Dae-sung asked. "I think something isn't adding up," Jiho replied. "In all my years of military service, I never met an enemy who announced their intentions before attacking, unless they wanted something else." Jiho looked out at the alien ship. It hadn't moved or shown any signs of aggression. Despite their threats, they had made no hostile actions. "Sir?" Hannah called out. "I'm picking up massive energy readings from the alien vessel." Everyone tensed. "Weapons?" Jiho asked. "I can't tell," she replied. "But they're powering up something big. Protocol would demand that Jiho ready his weapons. Earth Defense Force." Training was clear. When faced with a potential threat, prepare to defend yourself. But something about this situation felt wrong to him. "All stations stand down," Jiho ordered. Dae-sung looked shocked. "Captain?" "No weapons, no defensive screens. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already." The crew watched nervously as the alien ship began to move. But instead of approaching the horizon, it turned slightly and opened what appeared to be a communication channel again. "Captain Jiho Kim," came Tavik's voice. "Your response is noted. We will meet again soon." With that, the massive alien ship moved away at incredible speed, disappearing into the darkness of space within seconds. Jiho let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed. Whatever happens next, our world needs to be ready." As the horizon turned back toward home, Jiho knew that humanity had just entered a new era. Whether it would be one of war or peace remained to be seen. The news of the alien encounter spread quickly through Earth. 1 week after the Horizon returned home, leaders from all nations gathered at the United Earth Defense Headquarters in Geneva. The large meeting room was filled with military officers, scientists, and government officials. Captain Jiho Kim stood at the front of the room, finishing his report about the Narak encounter. The faces watching him showed fear and concern. "That concludes what we know so far," Jiho said. "The aliens called themselves the Narak. They claimed our solar system belongs to them, but they left without attacking us." General Subin Choi, the head of Earth's military forces, stood up. She was a short woman with gray hair cut in a practical style. Her uniform had many medals that showed her long military career. "Thank you, Captain," she said. "But while you were traveling back to Earth, we received another message from these Narak." The large screen on the wall turned on. The insect-like face of Supreme Commander Tavik appeared. Everyone in the room fell silent. "People of Earth," the alien said, "the Narak Empire has claimed your star system. You have 30 Earth days to surrender your planet and relocate your population to designated camps. If you refuse, we will destroy your civilization. To show our power, watch this demonstration." The image changed to show a view of Saturn and its moons. Suddenly, a bright beam of light shot across space. It hit one of Saturn's smaller moons. The moon exploded into millions of pieces. the room filled with gasps and shouts. "You have 30 days," Tavik's voice continued. "Surrender or face destruction." The screen went black. The room erupted in angry voices. General Choi raised her hands for quiet. "We have confirmed this footage. One of Saturn's moons has indeed been destroyed. The Narek have at least one ship in our solar system with weapon power we cannot match." Ji-ho felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He looked across the room and saw Hana Park sitting with other specialists. Their eyes met, and he could see she shared his concern. "What are our options?" asked the president of the United Earth Council. General Choi nodded to a scientist who stood up. "We have been developing new weapons," the scientist said. "The quantum torpedoes are nearly ready. They can break apart matter at the smallest level. Our tests show they could destroy a ship of any size." "How many do we have?" Roy asked the president. "We can arm 50 ships within 20 days, the scientist replied. General Choi stepped forward again. "I propose we launch a surprise attack, hit them before they expect it. Show them Earth will not surrender." The room filled with nods and sounds of agreement. People were afraid, and the idea of fighting back gave them comfort. Ji-ho stood up. "May I speak?" The president nodded. "I understand the desire to protect Earth," Ji-ho said, "but I think attacking first would be a mistake. We know almost nothing about the Narek. We don't know how many ships they have or what other weapons they might use." "They destroyed a moon, Captain," General Choi said sharply. "What more do we need to know?" "They destroyed an uninhabited moon," Ji-ho replied. "Not a planet with people. They could have attacked the horizon or Earth directly, but they didn't. Something doesn't add up." Hana raised her hand and was recognized to speak. "As the communication specialist who analyzed the Narak's messages, I noticed contradictions. Their threats don't match their actions. It's like they want to appear dangerous but are holding back." General Choi shook her head. "That's speculation. We can't base our planet's defense on feelings and hunches." The president looked troubled. "What do you suggest, Captain Kim?" "Try to communicate again," Ji-ho said. "Try to understand what they really want. Violence should be our last option, not our first." "And if they attack while we're trying to talk?" asked General Choi. "Then we defend ourselves," Ji-ho answered. "But I've seen enough war to know that the first shot is the easiest. It's stopping that becomes impossible." The room grew quiet as people considered his words. Then the president spoke. "We will prepare for both possibilities. General Choi, continue arming our ships. At the same time, we will attempt to communicate with the Narek again." The meeting ended and Ji-ho walked out feeling uneasy. Hana caught up with him in the hallway. "They're not really going to try talking, are they?" she asked. Ji-ho shook his head. "I think they've already decided to fight." "What do we do?" "Keep looking for answers," Ji-ho said. "There must be something we're missing about the Narek." Over the next 2 weeks, Earth prepared for war. Factories worked day and night to build the quantum torpedoes. Ships were called back from distant missions. People built underground shelters and stored food and supplies. Ji-ho was ordered to lead the attack squadron. The Horizon would be the command ship for 50 of Earth's most powerful warships. Each one was being equipped with the new quantum torpedoes. While this happened, Ji-ho and Hana worked secretly to analyze everything they knew about the Narek. They studied the recordings of Tavik's messages countless times. "Look at this part," Hana said one night, pointing to a screen in her small office. They had been working for 10 hours straight. When Tavik talks about destroying Earth, his upper limbs shift backward slightly. In most species, that would indicate reluctance or even falsehood. Ji-ho nodded. "And here, when he mentions surrender, he uses the phrase that translates as temporary relocation. Why say temporary if they plan to destroy us?" "Exactly," Hana agreed. "And their language contains odd contradictions. They speak of destruction, but use phrases that suggest preservation. But why? Why threaten us if they don't mean it?" Hana rubbed her tired eyes. "Maybe it's a test, or a misunderstanding. Or maybe they're afraid of something." Before they could discuss further, Lieutenant Dae-sung Lee entered the room. "Captain, you're needed on the Horizon. Final preparations are underway." Jiho nodded and stood up. Keep working on this, Hana. If you find anything at all, contact me immediately. As Jiho left with Dae-sung, he felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier. In 3 days, he would lead an attack fleet against the Narak. He would fire the first shots in what could become humanity's first interstellar war, unless he could find a reason not to. That night, as Jiho looked out the window of his quarters, on the horizon he could see the other warships gathered in Earth orbit, powerful, deadly, and ready for battle. He thought about all the lives at stake, human and alien. There must be another way, he whispered to himself. There has to be. His communication device buzzed. It was a message from Hana. Found something important. Need to talk right away. Jiho quickly replied, telling her to come to the horizon immediately. As he waited, he looked again at the fleet of warships. Soon they would leave Earth to confront the Narak fleet waiting at the edge of the solar system. And Jiho Kim had to decide whether he would follow orders and fire the first shot, or risk everything on his belief that there was more to the Narak ultimatum than a simple threat of war. Hana Park arrived at the Horizon docking bay an hour later. Her face showed excitement and worry as she hurried to meet Captain Jiho Kim in his private office. She carried a small computer tablet with her research. What did you find? Jiho asked as soon as the door closed. Hana placed her tablet on the desk and pulled up several video clips of the Narak communications. I've been comparing their language patterns with their body movements, she explained. And I found something strange in their historical references. She played a clip where Tavik mentioned the Narak Empire's right to claim the solar system. Listen carefully, she said. He says they claimed this region of space 10,000 cycles ago, but their body language shows signs of what would be deception in most species. I think they're lying about their claim. Jiho frowned. But why lie about that? What would be the point? I don't know, Hana admitted. But there's more. I analyzed the energy signature of the weapon they used on Saturn's moon. It has similarities to our own terraforming technology, just much more advanced. Terraforming? You mean changing planets to make them livable? Hana nodded. The readings suggest it wasn't purely destructive. The moon wasn't just blown up. It was taken apart in a very specific way. Jiho sat back thinking. So you believe they're hiding something about their true intentions? Yes. And I believe starting a war with them would be a terrible mistake. The door opened and Lieutenant Dae-sung Lee entered. He looked concerned. Captain, General Choi has moved up the attack schedule. The fleet leaves in 12 hours. Jiho and Hana exchanged alarmed looks. Why the change? Jiho asked. Intelligence reports the Narak fleet has moved closer to Earth. The general sees it as proof they're preparing to attack. Jiho stood up. Or they could be trying to open communications again. We can't just assume the worst. Orders are orders. Sir? Dae-sung said, though his voice showed he wasn't entirely comfortable with the situation. Jiho paced the room. He had spent his entire career following orders, protecting Earth. But now he faced a choice that could change the future of humanity. Gather the senior officers in the conference room, he said finally, and make sure we're not being monitored. An hour later, Jiho stood before his top officers. Besides Dae-sung and Hana, there were 5 others who ran different sections of the ship. All of them had served with Jiho for years. They trusted him. I've called you here because we face a critical decision, Jiho began. In 11 hours, we are ordered to lead an attack on the Narak fleet. We will fire the first shots in what could become an interstellar war. He paused, looking at each person in the room. I believe this attack is a mistake. Based on our analysis, there are serious questions about the Narak's true intentions. I cannot in good conscience fire on them without being certain they mean us harm. The room was silent. Then the weapons officer spoke up. What are you suggesting, Captain? That we disobey direct orders? I am suggesting that I disobey orders, Jiho clarified. I will take full responsibility. The rest of you can follow General Choi's commands once I step down. Dae-sung stepped forward. And what will you do instead? I will open communications with the Narak. I will try to understand what they really want, and I will refuse to fire unless they attack first. The officers looked at each other, uncertainty on their faces. This could be seen as treason, the security chief warned. I know, Jiho said quietly. But I've seen what war does. I've seen whole cities destroyed, millions of lives lost. If there's even a small chance of avoiding that, I have to try. Hana stood up. I support Captain Kim. The evidence suggests the Narak may not be what they appear. Daesung nodded slowly. I've served with the captain for 7 years. If he believes this is the right course, I trust his judgment. One by one, each officer gave their support. They didn't all agree with Jiho's plan, but they respected him enough to follow his lead. Thank you, Jiho said, feeling both relieved and burdened. Now we need to prepare. The next morning, the Earth fleet assembled in orbit. 50 warships formed a powerful attack force with the horizon at the center. Each ship was armed with quantum torpedoes capable of destroying even the largest Narak vessels. General Choi's voice came over the communication system. Captain Kim, begin your approach to the target coordinates. You are cleared to engage the enemy when in range. Jiho sat in his command chair, his face calm despite the storm inside him. Acknowledged, General. Moving to approach. The fleet moved away from Earth, heading toward the edge of the solar system where the Narak ships waited. Hours passed as they traveled in formation, weapons ready. When they were halfway to the Narak position, Jiho made his move. He stood up and faced the bridge crew. Lieutenant Lee, open a channel to all Earth ships. Daesung hesitated only a moment before following the order. Channel open, sir. Jiho took a deep breath. This is Captain Jiho Kim of the Horizon. I'm relieving myself of command and refusing to carry out the attack order. I believe we are making a terrible mistake. Immediately, the communication system erupted with voices. General Choi demanded to know what was happening. Other captains asked for clarification. I cannot in good conscience fire on beings we barely understand. Jiho continued. There are too many unanswered questions about the Narak's true intentions. I refuse to start a war that could lead to the destruction of both our species. This is treason, General Choi shouted over the channel. Lieutenant Lee, assume command and proceed with the mission. All eyes on the bridge turned to Daesung. He stood straight, meeting Jiho's gaze. Then he shook his head. I must respectfully decline, General, he said. I share Captain Kim's concerns. More voices filled the communication system. Some captains demanded the attack continue. Others expressed their own doubts. If we start this war, one captain said, we may not be able to stop it. Maybe we should listen to Captain Kim. This is madness, another shouted. They threatened Earth. They destroyed a moon. As the debate raged, the Earth fleet came to a stop. It hung in space, neither advancing nor retreating. The warships formed. A silent line, weapons ready but unfired. Jiho turned to Hana. Open a channel to the Narak flagship. She worked at her station, sending the signal. Channel open, sir. Jiho faced the main screen. This is Jiho Kim speaking for the Earth fleet. We refuse to fire the first shot. If you want this war, you will have to begin it. The screen remained dark for a long moment, then Supreme Commander Tavik's image appeared. Your response is unexpected, the alien said. There seemed to be a hint of surprise in his voice. We wish to understand your true purpose here, Jiho said. We wish to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. The alien was silent, its compound eyes staring at Jiho. When it spoke again, its voice seemed different, less threatening. We will consider your words. The screen went dark again. What now, sir? Daesung asked. Jiho looked at the waiting fleet, then at the distant stars where the Narak ships waited. Now, he said, we wait. For 3 days, the Earth fleet and the Narak ships remained in position. Neither side moved closer or fired weapons. Back on Earth, people waited anxiously for news. Would there be war or peace? On the horizon, Captain Jiho Kim spent most of his time on the bridge. He had been officially removed from command by Earth Defense Headquarters, but his crew still looked to him for guidance. Lieutenant Daesung Lee formally served as acting captain, though everyone knew who was really in charge. Captain, Hana Park called from her station. I'm detecting movement from the Narak fleet. Everyone tensed. Jiho moved to stand beside her. What kind of movement? A single small ship has broken away from their main fleet. It's heading directly toward us. Dae-sung joined them. Weapons? Hana checked her readings. None that I can detect. It appears to be a shuttle of some kind. Jiho straightened his uniform. They're sending someone to talk. Or it could be a trick, Dae-sung warned. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already, Jiho replied. Their main ships have enough firepower to wipe out our entire fleet. Why send a small shuttle? The main screen showed the approaching Narak vessel. It was much smaller than the warships, with smooth lines and no visible weapons ports. They're requesting permission to dock with the Horizon, Hana reported. General, Choi's voice immediately came over the communication system. Absolutely not. This could be a suicide attack. Destroy that ship immediately. Jiho looked at Dae-sung, then at the rest of the bridge crew. They all watched him, waiting for his decision. Lieutenant Lee, Jiho said formally, as the acting captain, this decision is yours to make. Dae-sung stood tall, his face serious. I believe we should allow the shuttle to dock, but with full security precautions. This is direct disobedience, General Choi shouted. I will have you both court-martialed. Jiho turned to the communication officer. Cut the channel with Earth Command. The officer hesitated, then followed the order. General Choi's angry voice disappeared. Inform the Narak shuttle they are cleared to dock, Jiho said. And tell security to meet us there. No weapons unless I give the order. 30 minutes later, Jiho, Dae-sung, and Hana stood in the docking bay with 6 security officers. The Narak shuttle connected to the Horizon's airlock. There was a hissing sound. As the pressures equalized, the door slid open. Everyone held their breath. A Narak stepped through the doorway. But it wasn't the large, imposing Supreme Commander Tavik. This Narak was smaller, with lighter coloring on its exoskeleton. It had 4 arms like the others, but its movements seemed gentler, more careful. I am Min, the alien said in surprisingly good English. I am a cultural interpreter for the Narak. I come in peace to speak with Captain Jiho Kim. Jiho stepped forward. I am Jiho Kim. This is Lieutenant Dae-sung Lee and Communication Specialist Hana Park. Min made a movement that looked like a bow. Thank you for allowing me to board your ship. And thank you for not firing on our fleet. Why are you here? Jiho asked directly. To tell you the truth, Min replied. A truth we have hidden from 17 other species across the galaxy. Jiho glanced at Hana, who nodded encouragingly. Please come with us to our conference room, Jiho said. We can talk more comfortably there. In the conference room, Min sat across from the 3 humans. The alien's compound eyes reflected the light in a way that made it hard to read expressions. But its body language seemed relaxed, not threatening. First, I must tell you that Supreme Commander Tavik is not our true leader, Min began. He is part of what you might call our military theater, a show we put on for other species. A show? Dae-sung asked, confused. You mean your threats were fake? Not fake, Min corrected. A test, one that 17 other species have failed. You are the first to pass. Hana leaned forward. What kind of test? Min's upper limbs moved in a complex gesture. A test of character, of wisdom. We needed to know if you would respond to threats with violence. Why test us at all? Jiho asked. Min was quiet for a moment. Then the alien's voice became softer. Because we are refugees, not conquerors. We have been searching for a new home for over 200 years, ever since our own world was destroyed in a war with a species called the Voth. The 3 humans exchanged surprised looks. You're refugees? Hana repeated. But your ships, your weapons, are for defense only, Min said. We learned a hard lesson. Before the Voth destroyed our world, we welcomed them openly. We shared our technology, our resources. We trusted them. And they betrayed you, Jiho said quietly. Yes, they used our own technology against us. Our homeworld was destroyed in a single day. Billions of Narak died. Only those who were off-planet in our space fleet survived. The room was silent as the humans absorbed this information. Since then, Min continued, we have been searching for a place to start again. But we cannot risk another betrayal. So we created the test. We approach a promising system and make threats. We show our power by destroying something uninhabited, like your moon of Saturn. And if the species attacks, Daesung asked, then we know they cannot be trusted. We leave and search elsewhere. And if they don't attack, Jiho asked, then we reveal ourselves and offer friendship. Min's upper limbs spread wide. That is why I am here. You refused to fire even when threatened. Even when ordered by your leaders, you chose peace over violence. Hana nodded as understanding dawned. That's why your body language didn't match your words. You were acting. Yes. We are not natural warriors. We are scientists, builders, explorers. The role of conqueror is uncomfortable for us. Jiho sat back, trying to process everything. So the weapon you used on Saturn's moon. Hana thought it might be terraforming technology. She is correct, Min said, turning to Hana with what seemed like respect. You have good insight. It is a matter reshaper. It can break down a lifeless rock and rebuild it into a habitable world. We demonstrated its destructive capability only, but its true purpose is creation. Why choose our solar system? Daesung asked. There must be many uninhabited systems you could settle in. Min's head tilted in what might have been embarrassment. We have been observing Earth for nearly 50 years. Your broadcasts, your literature, your history. We saw a species that has known much war but always strives for peace. We hoped you might be different from the others. And now? Jiho asked. Now we wish to speak with your true leaders, to propose friendship between our peoples. We do not want your world. We only wish to settle in an uninhabited system near yours, where we might be neighbors and allies. Jiho looked at Daesung and Hana. They both nodded. I think that can be arranged, Jiho said, though I should warn you I'm not exactly in good standing with Earth's leadership at the moment. For the first time, Min made a sound that might have been laughter. A being who would risk everything to avoid unnecessary violence is exactly the kind of leader we wish to deal with. As they continued talking, Jiho felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. He had made the right choice. By refusing to kill, he had possibly saved both species from destruction. Now they just had to convince the rest of humanity that the fearsome Narak Empire was actually a group of homeless refugees looking for friendship. 2 weeks later, Jiho Kim stood in the grand meeting hall of the United Earth Council in Geneva. The room was filled with leaders from every nation on Earth. At the center table sat the 12 members of the Earth Council, with President Chen at their head. General Subin Choi sat to the president's right, her face carefully neutral. Beside Jiho stood Min, the Narak cultural interpreter. 3 other Narak representatives waited nearby. They were not military figures like Tavik, but members of what they called the Narak Guidance Council, their true leadership. Captain Kim, President Chen said, her voice formal. 2 weeks ago you disobeyed direct orders and prevented an attack on the Narak fleet. Today we must decide if your actions were justified. Jiho nodded respectfully. When he had returned to Earth with Min and news of the Narak's true nature, the reactions had been mixed. Some called him a hero for preventing a pointless war. Others wanted him tried for treason. With respect, Madam President, Jiho replied, I made the only choice I could live with. I could not fire on beings I did not believe meant us harm. General, Choi leaned forward. And what if you had been wrong? What if they had attacked while our fleet was sitting still? Then I would have given the order to defend ourselves, Jiho said firmly. I chose peace as the first option, not the only option. President, Chen turned to Min. We have heard your story. You claim your people are refugees seeking a new home. Yet you approached us with threats and shows of force. Why should we trust you now? Min stepped forward. The Narak's movements were more relaxed now, less rigid than when they had been playing the role of conquerors. We have learned through painful experience that trust must be earned, Min said. 17 other species we encountered responded to our threats with immediate violence. They proved they would reach for weapons first, before trying to understand. And humans passed your test by refusing to fire, President Chen said. Not all humans, Min corrected gently. But enough. Captain Kim and those who stood with him showed wisdom rare in the galaxy. They saw beyond our threats to the truth beneath. One of the other council members spoke up. You've shown us images of your fleet. Your technology is clearly more advanced than ours in many ways. What exactly are you offering in this alliance? The oldest of the Narak representatives, named Toral, stepped forward. His exoskeleton had a blue-green tint that showed his age and status. We offer knowledge, Toral said, his voice deeper than Min's. Technology for clean energy, medicine, space travel. But most importantly, we offer friendship. Two species supporting each other in a dangerous galaxy. And what do you want in return? General Choi asked skeptically. A home, Toral replied simply. There is an uninhabited system 16 light-years from Earth. It has planets suitable for terraforming with our technology. We ask permission to settle there, to rebuild our civilization, and we ask for allies we can trust. The council members talked among themselves quietly. Then President Chen stood. We will need time to consider your proposal. For now, this meeting is adjourned. As the room emptied, Jiho, Daesung, and Hana gathered with the Narak representatives in a smaller meeting room. Do you think they will agree? Min asked. I hope so, Jiho replied. But humans can be cautious, especially after being threatened. We understand, Toral said. Trust is not easily given. Hana, who had been studying the Narak language intensely since their arrival, spoke to Toral in his own language. The sound was difficult for human vocal cords, but she managed a close approximation. The old Narak's compound eyes seemed to brighten. You speak well for a beginner, he replied in English. Few have taken the time to learn our ways. If we're going to be friends, Hana said, we should understand each other. A month later, Jiho stood on the observation deck of the Horizon. The ship was now positioned between Earth and the main Narak vessel. But this time, they were not there as potential enemies but as hosts for a historic meeting. President Chen and the Earth Council had just signed the first interstellar alliance treaty with the Narak Guidance Council. Humans would help the Narak settle in the nearby star system they had chosen. In return, the Narak would share their knowledge and technology, particularly their advanced medical science and terraforming capabilities. Admiral Kim, Daesung said as he joined Jiho at the window. It still sounds strange. Jiho smiled. His promotion to admiral had been unexpected. After nearly facing court-martial for disobeying orders, he had instead been elevated to serve as Earth's first ambassador to an alien species. No stranger than everything else that's happened, Jiho replied. Hana joined them, now wearing the uniform of the newly created Xenolinguistics Division. She had been appointed to lead humanity's efforts to understand not just the Narak language, but their culture as well. The first student exchange program is being planned, she told them excitedly. 5 human scientists will visit the Narak fleet to learn their technology, and 5 Narak cultural experts will come to Earth. Jiho looked out at the stars. I never expected any of this when we first detected that signal. You made it possible, Daesung said. If you had followed orders, fired those torpedoes, we would likely all be dead, Hana finished. The Narak may have been testing us, but they were fully prepared to defend themselves if attacked. Jiho shook his head. It wasn't just me. It was all of us who questioned, who looked deeper than the surface. The door slid open and Min entered. The Narak moved with more confidence now among humans. Admiral Kim, the Narak Science Council has a request. They wish to invite you to witness the first terraforming operation in our new home system. I would be honored, Jiho replied. The council also wished me to show you this, Min said, holding out a data tablet. Jiho took it and saw images of a beautiful blue-green planet, with oceans and continents taking shape. This is the first planet they will transform, Min explained. They wish to name it New Beginning in both our languages. The first major city will be called Kim City if you approve. Jiho felt a wave of emotion. I don't know what to say. You could say yes, Daesung suggested with a smile. Yes, Jiho agreed. I would be honored. Later that evening, Jiho stood alone on the observation deck. The lights were dimmed, letting the stars shine brighter. Earth was a beautiful blue sphere below, while the massive Narak ships hung in space nearby, no longer threatening but protective. He thought about how close they had come to war, how easy it would have been to fire those torpedoes, to strike, first out of fear. One simple command could have changed everything. By refusing to kill, he had opened a door not just to peace, but to friendship. Humans and Narak would face the future together, two species united by their shared desire for home and safety. The conflict that never happened became known throughout the galaxy as the Silent Confrontation. It would be studied by future generations, as the moment when humanity proved itself worthy of the stars, not through strength of arms but through strength of character. Jiho smiled as he looked out at the endless stars. For the first time in his life, he saw not the darkness between them, but the endless possibilities they represented. The war that never was had ended without a single bullet fired, and because of that, a new beginning was possible for both species.